for sure. Hi, everybody.
Let's get kind of close.
Hi. There's Mr. Davis. Not my husband, my real Mr. Davis. So many people have told me that the best way to talk to a group of people is to picture you all naked. So I promise I'm not going to do that because I can't unsee that. This talk was supposed to be given 2 years ago in 2010 when I had worked here, or 2020 when I had worked here for 10 years. But it was, COVID got in the way. And then last year, between COVID and the fire, there wasn't room for me. So this year, John Mount, he called me and pulled me kicking and screaming and said that I needed to do it this year. So here you go. I'm going to read it because I need to read it. So 12 years ago, I began, I'm going to try not to cry because I love this place so much. 12 years ago, I began a new life journey here at the museum. Today, I'm sharing a few memories from that journey, but first, let me introduce myself and offer a little background. You will be hearing a lot about the year 2010. The museum officially opened its doors in 2007, and at that time, it was open from Memorial Day to Labor Day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. Linda Clegg founded the volunteer group VEST that same year, and it was that group, which was about 45 members strong, that opened and closed the museum on those 3 days. Shirley Bone oversaw the scheduling of the volunteers, but after a few years, it became increasingly difficult to staff the museum during open hours. So in the spring of 2010, the board approved hiring a paid staff member, and that's when I came along. I saw a job opening in the Mountain Press for an office position at the Shaver Lake Chamber of Commerce. I applied, and I had an interview with Rita Rich, and I felt like the interview went well, but I thought that job was not for me. So in the 25 minutes it took me to get home, I had pretty much talked myself out of that job. But 5 minutes later, I got home and I got a call from Linda Clegg. She asked me to drive back up to Shaver Lake to meet with her and John Mount at the museum. Rita had called Linda and said she had just interviewed somebody she thought would be a good fit for the museum. At that time, the board of directors had only been talking about hiring somebody, but they hadn't publicized the job opening yet, as they weren't exactly sure what they were looking for. Linda and John hired me that day. I was so grateful and excited because it just felt right. I knew this was where I needed to be. During the interview with them, I remember Patrick Emmert came to talk to John about locating the donkey that was hidden somewhere in the forest. He said something about a helicopter was looking for it. And I thought, oh no, there's a lost donkey wandering in the woods. So VEST members I regularly saw at that time were Linda Clegg and Donna Mount, Mary Spickler, who maintained correspondence, and Joni Van Vliet, who ran the gift shop with the help of her late husband, Kim. Also, there regularly were Shirley Conti, who was the Historical Society's bookkeeper going back to 1991, Carolyn McFall, who handled all the memorial donation acknowledgments, and Roberta Miller, who did the membership and database. Other VEST members who were here regularly with me were Shirley Kepler, who was the VEST secretary, Connie Amesbury, who would always bring me a box of See's candies and then help me eat all of it, Lori Stanfield, John and Judy Statler, Mary Warner, Alice Knapp, Shirley Bone, who always brought something delicious from her kitchen, and Mary Hudak. Other active VEST members were Shar Meyer's mother, Shirley Boatman, Becky Botkin, Marcia Weens, Gail Lewis, Mary Street, Sue Van Doren, and Elizabeth Sullivan, who was also a board member. Those are some long ago names that aren't even with us anymore. They're not all of them. A lot of them had just moved down the hill. But at that time, Elizabeth worked with Jean and Lee Larson to produce the spring and fall newsletters. Of course, I can't forget Ed Selleck, who oversaw the community outreach program and volunteered to dose it when needed. At my first meeting in June of 2010, there were 21 volunteers in attendance. That was usually the average attendance at a VEST meeting at that time. In 2011, VEST members Shirley Kepler and Judy Statler began a summer children's Christmas program. That program continues today. Connie Amesbury started the Children's Christmas Crafts, which also continues today. In 2010, our board of directors consisted of John Mount as the chair, Linda Clegg, Pat Town, Patrick Emmert, Carolyn Hunsaker, Robert Knapp, Jim Palmer, John Stoll, Elizabeth Sullivan, Walt Reinhardt, and John Bogart, Jerry Jones, and Curtis Blassingame, who was the newbie. Our board of trustees were the late Judge Jim Kwashnick as the chair, August Altamura, Bill Chandler, John Harris, Deborah Kazanjian, Jim Kruger, Steve McGarrian, Peter Mihas, Stan Oken, Jean Rose, Peter Van Vliet, Joe Wyrick, Jim Woodward III, and Emery Wishon III. In 2010, we began the Sierra Voices Speaker Series, facilitated by Jerry Jones and later taken over by Robert and Alice Knapp, who passed the baton to Dina Young. Now, Debbie Corper is doing a fantastic job keeping the program interesting. Since 2010, we have offered 60 different presentations. 2010 was the year of our first annual fundraiser dinner, chaired by Shirley Kepler, and it benefited our SJ&E Caboose Restoration Project. It was held on August 21st at the Shaver Lake Community Center, and the tickets were $25 each. And we made $7,700. The caboose was being restored in the driveway in front of the roll-up doors. They used the media room as their workroom. Spearheaded by Brooks Wilson, the restoration was being done with the help of Bob Connery, a woodworker from San Diego whom Brooks met in Chama, New Mexico, while doing restoration work on old railroad cars. Other volunteers were Dave Nearing, Vernon Fogderud, Dan Griffin, Greg Elliott, John Harshman, Larry Carabian, Austin Lysite, Tom Mazzetti, Tom Nelson, David Schiffen, Dennis Vasquez, Rod Wings, and Jeff Young. And the caboose was dedicated in July of 2012. Where are all these people today? We still need them. In 2010, I told you it was going to be a lot about 2010, the powerhouse building was nearing completion by Doug Corper and his guys, including Paul Walters, Scott Johnson, and Rusty Heck. And I'm sorry, but I don't know any other names. Those are the only three that I know.
Steve Hayden.
Oh, Steve Hayden. Well, he's coming later.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that time, there wasn't anything in it. It was just a shell.
That's true.
We were in the process of obtaining the generation plant equipment from Mill Creek, which finally came in the summer of 2012. The equipment's volunteers were Big Creek Hydro guys, Gary Beck and Larry Lockwood, and Steve Hayden and Joel Preheim. With the excitement of Carver Mead coming for the dedication, the ceremony took place in June of 2013, and that is when I got the nickname of Den Mother, bestowed upon me by Carver, who still calls me that today. In 2010, the steam donkey was not on sleds. There was no cement slab and no cover over it. Those all came later that year. Our steamers in 2010 consisted of Rusty Childers, Brad Courtwright, Tom Heitzman, Bill Edlund, Patrick Emmert, Jeff Young, Norm Soddy, and of course Del Howdeshout. Sadly, we need potential volunteers for the Steam Donkey Steam Up Days and the Powerhouse demos. If you know of somebody, here's a little dig. If you know somebody interested in joining a great group of fellow like-minded volunteers, please contact the museum for more information. Had to do it. Summer of 2010, Doug Corper finished the pad and the walkway to the amphitheater, funded by the John Bogart family in honor of his parents. The seating came later, and the amphitheater was dedicated on June 11, 2011. June 28, 2013 was our first Friday in the Pines concert. Katie Blanchard facilitated that program, and we miss her very much. Also that summer, Norm Soddy's construction company built the covered walkway in front of the building. That wasn't even here then. The walls inside the museum were covered in plywood, and the ceilings were exposed heating tubes and pink insulation. I got so sick of looking at that pink insulation. But there were stacks of sinker lumber on top of the storage closets that you see in this room. In October of 2010, two of the caboose volunteers, Bob Connery and Dave Nearing, completed the walls in the main museum. Our 2013 fundraiser dinner proceeds paid for installing the sinker wood ceilings in both rooms. Sinker logs were retrieved by Jeff Young and trucked down to Sierra Forest Products in Terabella, who donated the milling. After that, they were taken to RPM Planing in Fresno, where Mike and Jean Bushel donated the planing. One day, Jeff pulled up to the roll-up doors and unloaded all these pallets of lumber. At that time, it filled the back room. This whole room was just filled with sinker lumber. Soon after, Norm Soddy and his crew had the ceiling done, and it's beautiful. Visitors still come in today and comment on the smell of wood. Our 2014 fundraiser dinner proceeds paid for the ceiling of the museum floors. Until then, the floors were just cold, ugly, gray concrete. In the summer of 2010, we offered an outdoor art class program. For $15, you could get a 2-hour photography lesson from David Hunter, the son-in-law of John Bogart, or a 2-hour watercolor painting class from Mary Street and Deanna Bristow. We offered this program for about 4 years. 2 of our regular programs offered in 2010 are still offered today. The Pancake Breakfast, put on by John Stoll on the 4th of July weekend. If you have never seen John in his striped Uncle Sam pants, you absolutely must come for breakfast on July 4th at the community center. The Ice Cream Social, put on by Robert and Alice Knapp, is usually on National Ice Cream Day and is always a fan favorite. In the winter of 2011, Shaver Lake was drained for the retrofitting of the dam, and the museum had many visitors throughout the winter months. SCE offered a private, docent-led tour, which was Jeff Young and his son, Riley, so it's really awesome. And I was one of the lucky ones able to go down there. That indeed was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. One day, a Channel 30 news crew came to the museum to do a story on the draining, and I was here with Linda Clegg and Donna Mount. The reporter asked for an interview, and the next thing I knew, Linda and Donna were pushing me in front of the camera. And I still haven't gotten back at them for that one, but I will. When you least expect it. 2010 was when we donated the Hayden Sawmill. It's currently being restored and will be the next exhibit displayed on the museum grounds. 2010 was when we donated the Osprey 2 boat, was when we were donated the Osprey 2 boat from Jim Woodward. Captained by Steve Merrill, we actually offered Shaver Lake tours for a couple of years, and you all know what happened then. Spring of 2012 was the museum's first Science Days, where we partnered with SCE to bring students from our local schools to learn about the history of old and new experiences. This year's Science Days will be coming up on May 15th. The theme will be wildlife. They will need lots of volunteers, so I hope you will consider joining us that day. It's a lot of fun. In 2013, we inherited the 1920 Mack Bulldog truck, and Norm's crew built a shed for it, and it was dedicated in May of 2014. That same year, 2013, with the guidance of Russ Westman, we began our successful Partnership in Education program, also known as PEP, facilitated by Robert Knapp and Judy Statler, and that program continues today. Again, with Russ's help, he and Meg Tallberg revived, where's Maggie? Here. Revived the Summer Hikes for History program in 2015. Even though Russ's health, now I wrote this before he passed. So even though Russ's health has kept him from being as active as he was, the Hikes for History program continues today. It was an unforgettable day in May of 2018 when we dedicated the museum building to a well-deserving John Mount. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Including all the 2018 board members, John's wife Donna, his sister, and his children from as far away from as Dallas, Texas, were here to support him that wonderful day. I cannot finish without mentioning the year 2020, that horrible year we would all like to forget. The museum was closed most of the year due to COVID, and then we all suffered the catastrophic Creek Fire. Thankfully, our community was saved by many of the people here today, and our dear museum is still standing. So, going from myself being the first hire only 12 years ago to being one of 8 employees, including Carrie Elizondo, Deb Bell, Joy West, Lisa Castro, Frank Johnson, and our newest additions to the family, Timothy Jans and Bobby Fleming, it states a lot about our growth. We are all on the elevator going up. We've had to stop the elevator a few times to let somebody off. But now I feel your current museum staff and our current group of volunteers, even though we desperately need more, are precisely what you need. In closing, I want to say that when I step back from myself and take a look around, I am amazed at what you, all of you, have accomplished in 12 years. We could not have done it without all of you. Your generous willingness to continue your membership, donate to other projects dear to your heart, offer in-kind donations, and volunteer your time is what keeps these doors open and allows us to keep moving forward. I continue to be in awe of all of you. Look around. This is a small community with big hearts, and I'm blessed and honored to be here with you all today.
Man, that brought tears. Woo. There's a lot of stuff that happened in the last 10 years.
I know, huh? I know.
And this, anyway, like Becky said, this was a 10-year anniversary, 12 years.
Yeah.
Because of that damn COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have some stuff here for Becky. First of all, a little certificate. You gotta have a certificate. 12 years of service, and you all know the quality of service. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much. But this is a little better. You gotta open that up. That's from the board.
I like presents. Ooh. Donna's old Mercedes, maybe. It's in a red box, so that's good. It's another red box.
And a smaller red box.
Does it just open? Oh, beautiful. They're little diamond heart earrings.
Thank you for all the service. That's from the board.
Thank you.
And yeah.
Damn you, people. Oh, thank you.